Hi friends and welcome. Do any of you find yourself creating your Sephora wish list months before their semi-annual sale? Well, I definitely do, but that list is an ever-growing work in progress as I keep changing my mind about what products are most enticing. Well, things have been so busy lately, but in a good way, thankfully, that I haven't had a chance to really test and try out my new Sephora makeup to see how well it works on my mature skin. So today is the day, and I'm really excited to be able to just chat with you, relax, and just play with makeup. If you're new to this channel, let me extend a very warm welcome. And for those of you who are returning, it's great to have you back. My name is Elise, and this channel is all about supporting and celebrating those of us with mature skin. I'm a working professional makeup artist whose passion and mission is sharing makeup tips, techniques, and product suggestions that can make the biggest difference for us now. And we occasionally also make forays into the worlds of fashion and wellness. My skin prep, brows, and eye primer are already done, so let's start with eyeshadow. There were rumors about a possible Natasha Denona purple palette launch for several months before Natasha Denona revealed that she was indeed coming out with a purple eyeshadow palette. And those of us who love purple, including myself, couldn't have been more excited, especially since her last three eyeshadow palettes, the I Need a Nude palette, the I Need a Warm palette, and her gold palette, all had neutral color stories. But I have to say that when I actually saw the Roxa palette, which, by the way, is the word for purple in Portuguese, I was really on the fence about purchasing it. And that's because, number one, I already have a gorgeous all-purple palette from the indie brand Bella Beauty Bar, which is not only great quality, but also gorgeous. And number two, I was a little confused and frankly underwhelmed by two of the shades in the Natasha Denona palette, the shades Heather and Cerise. Natasha Denona describes the shade Heather as a silky matte medium dusty coral rose, and the shade Cerise is described as a silky matte medium dark muted fuchsia. Now, to me, fuchsia does make a little more sense to include since fuchsia is indeed in the same color family as purple, but a dusty coral rose shade? But since purple eyeshadows are notoriously difficult to create, and the description of the palette says, and I quote, Natasha Denona transformed the commonly tricky-to-use purple pigments to a new luxurious, never-before-seen standard with her new Silky Matte formula, which debuted in this palette. And since the palette is also described as being fallout-free, well, I caved in and purchased it during the Sephora sale. I've swatched some of the colors in this palette, but I haven't actually created any looks. So I'm going to experiment today and create two different looks, and we'll see how they turn out. I'm not sure if I can bring myself to dip into the dusty coral shade Heather, but if I'm feeling super bold today, I just might give that a try. I'm going to start off with this lightest shade called Sweet Pea along my lid. And as I mentioned, I've already applied eye primer, and I also put some powder across my lid so this will glide on even more easily. It's a beautiful light lavender. For the crease, I'll go with this shade called Velour. This is more of a dusty purple shade. Now, since I want a little bit more depth here and darkness, I'm going to go with one of the darker colors in the outer part of the crease and the outer part of the lid. I'm going to go with Jacarando. I'm going to bring it up just a little bit here. I have hooded eyes, so I really need to bring it up so it actually shows. And I especially want to bring it up a little bit further on the outer area. I call this a backward 7 area, and that's to help lift my eyes even more. And I'm just going to take that same color and just pat it on the outer part of my lid. And this is a slightly stiffer brush that's angled, which makes it a lot easier to go up into that actual corner here. So my husband and I got into a conversation the other night about TV shows that we watched growing up. This goes way back, and I don't know if many of you will know of this one at all, but every Saturday night we would sit eating on trays and we would watch Perry Como. I love Perry Como to this day. I love his voice. He's just was such a charming, easygoing guy. And on Sunday nights, we would watch Bonanza. And when I say the word bonanza, can you immediately hear the theme song if you watch that series? It's pretty unforgettable. Okay, now I'm going to just blend this. I'm just going to go really light and natural with this eye. I'm not going to use any of the shimmer shades or foiled shades. Okay, that's where we're going to stop it. And the other side, I'm going to go a little crazy. I'm going to go with some shimmer and metallic shades and really create more of an evening look. This time I'm going to start with Phoebe all the way across the lid and combine it with Sweet Pea, which is a little bit lighter. So speaking of TV shows, my husband and I just were encouraged by our youngest daughter, who's living with us currently, to watch a series that amazingly we had never seen before. And I'm sure most of you have. I don't know how we have missed it over the years, but Grey's Anatomy. And going way back, maybe some of you remember a couple of other shows based on medical personnel, Dr. Kildare and Ben Casey. I was more of a Richard Chamberlain, Dr. Kildare fan. And we will differentiate this from the other eye, I promise. And now I'm going to apply Flutter on the inner part of the lid. This looks like the lightest shimmery shade. And it's applying amazingly well with the brush. A lot of times, finger, of course, as you know, works a lot better. So I'm going to take my finger and just, oh yeah, that gives a lot more payoff of the shine. And now I'm going to take this beautiful deeper purple called Concord on the outer part of the lid. It's actually not as dark as I thought it might be. And in the middle of the lid, I'm going to go with this swirled shade called Bolt. I think this is the first time Natasha Denona has ever used this kind of shade. We've seen it in other palettes, especially Huda Beauty palettes, and that is giving a lot more shimmer than Concord. And then to really make it more dramatic, I'm going to use this deepest shade called Eclipse on the outer part of the lid and the outer part of the crease. Again, I'm just patting it on. And I'm bringing it up a little bit higher here, the outer part. And then let's do some blending. And these blend beautifully. And I'm really not getting much fallout at all, so that's really good news. And I'm going to take that a little bit deeper, go up a little bit higher. All right, I think I just want to play around with some of these other shimmer colors just for the fun of it. So let's do a little bit more dramatic look on this eye now. I'm going to go with the shade Regal in the center and Brink on the outer part, which is a little darker. Here is Brink. Regal is a very light pink shade, almost a taupey kind of pink. Oh, that's pretty. And this is Brink, which is much sparklier. That's really a beautiful pink foil or shimmer. That might be one of my favorites so far. Just going to add a little bit more here. And Stargirl is the lightest shimmer. I'm going to use that on the very inner corner. This is an interesting shade. It's very soft. I think I'm going to try it over Bolt in the middle and see what we get. Yeah, that lightens it up a bit, which is really pretty. I definitely like that, especially in the center of the lid. Now I think I want to lighten this one up just a little bit, so I'm going to use a lighter, brighter foil. Oh, that definitely brightens things. And I always like to go lighter on my lid area just to open up the eye a little bit. Okay, I think I better stop. I'm going to go ahead and apply eyeliner and mascara, and I'll be right back. I combined the two darkest shades, which are Jacaranda and Eclipse, as my eyeliner, and applied my Sweed Cloud Mascara. And by the way, I mispronounced Jacaranda earlier. It's not Jacarando. I just couldn't see without my reading glasses. And I'm curious which eyeshadow you like better. Let's take a close-up look at each of them, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether you like the pinker, lighter version or the deeper purple version. I've been really excited to try this new HD Skin Hydra Glow Foundation from Makeup Forever. On their website, it's described as an 86% skincare-based foundation that has buildable coverage. It's also said to provide 24-hour hydration and glow with a natural luminous finish that's creamy and lightweight. That is a lot to promise. Well, I always like to look at product reviews before I purchase makeup, especially foundation, since it is so pricey. And I was glad to see that on the Makeup Forever website, most of the reviewers checked what age range they were in. So I immediately headed for the reviews written by women who are in their 40s and beyond, because as we all know, the makeup products that work well for us in our 20s and 30s don't always work so well for us now. And all the reviews I saw from the older women were extremely positive about this foundation. So I do have high hopes. Let's get at least a first impression of this foundation today. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it. Now, interestingly, my youngest daughter, who's 31, did not like this foundation, but she, of course, does not have the issues of dryness that I have, so it looked a lot different on her face than I'm sure it will on mine. I'm going to first shake it really well. I'm just going to dot it on one side at a time. Wow, this looks a little bit dark. Actually, the foundations I've been using lately are probably too light. So this one is probably closer to my real skin shade than maybe the others I've been using before. I don't know what's going on up here. Is there some redness all of a sudden? I don't know. Do you find that strange things just pop up overnight on your skin? I don't know if any of you saw the series, I think it was on for 3 years, called The Kominsky Method. That starred Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin, and in the trailer for the series, I just laughed so hard because Michael Douglas was picking up Alan Arkin. I don't know where they were going, but picked him up in his car, and Michael Douglas asked him, "Well, how are you doing today?" And Alan Arkin replied, "Well, I wake up each morning and every day I think to myself, what's not going to work today?" Can any of you relate to that? I can, for sure. This is really skin-like. It's interesting. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more coverage on my age spots over here. It is definitely buildable, but I'm not sure if I'm getting as much coverage as I would like to have. This definitely has a different feel to it than most foundations. It feels good, and it does feel creamy, so I can see how they refer to it as skin-like. I'm not sure about my thoughts on this. It feels wonderful, and as I look at it, I do have a slight luminescence to my skin, so it does give me a little bit of a glow, which I do like. I'll definitely have to keep testing this one out to see what I think. Now on to concealer. Since I love Natasha Denona's High Glam Concealer so much, and I was running low on it, I repurchased it during the sale. It's really a favorite of mine for 2 reasons. First, it has amazing coverage, and I definitely need help covering my age spots. And 2, it's wonderfully creamy, which is great for my mature skin. So I'm just going to cover my age spots first, and then just tap it in. The longer I have this foundation on, the better it's feeling on my face. It really does feel nice. I would definitely have to use a concealer like this with it to really get the kind of coverage that I need. It doesn't seem to be settling into fine lines, which is another big plus. If any of you have this foundation and have tried it, I would love to hear your thoughts on it as well. Under my eyes, I'm going to use e.l.f.'s concealer in the shade Light Peach as my corrector and the shade Fair Beige over it. Just need the tiniest amount. This is a big doe foot applicator. And my preference is to just press it in with my fingers. I really could put this e.l.f. product up against just about any other concealers and correctors I have, which really astounds me, and you really want something that's especially creamy under that eye area. So that was the Light Peach, and here's the Fair Beige. Again, just a tiny bit. One thing that can definitely cause cakiness under the eyes is too much concealer, and also it's a good idea to avoid foundation under the eyes, because the more layers we have, the more likely we are to see caking. So light layers is really key to the under eye area. Well, to all of our makeup, but especially the under eye area. Now, I managed to forget to bring down my powder, so I'm going to run up and get that, and I will be right back. I'm going to be using Maybelline's Banana Powder. All right, powder applied. I didn't purchase a new contour this time around, so I used one of my standout favorites from Westman Atelier, which is their Face Trace contour in the shade Biscuit. One of the most important qualities a contour has to have to reach the top of my favorite contours list is a formula that glides on and is mistake-proof to apply. And this contour checks off both of these boxes. I have the mini size, which you saw, and it is fast disappearing since I use it so much. So I've dropped several hints that a replacement would be a great Christmas gift. So I'm hoping that one of my 2 daughters might take me up on that hint. One of my all-time favorite blush formulas is from makeup artist Patrick Ta, since his blush duos contain both a powder and a cream blush. I have 2 of his blush duos in a bright neutral pink color called She's a Doll and in a vibrant blue pink called She's Giving. His most recent pink shade is Just Enough, and it's a soft blue pink, and it's the one I purchased during the Sephora sale. Patrick Ta recommends applying the powder first and then the cream, which seems counterintuitive to most of us. He suggests doing this because applying the cream last creates a dewy look, and layering the 2 blushes also helps them last longer. He also recommended using a slightly damp sponge to apply the cream blush, so that's what I'm going to do today. This is really a gorgeous soft pink. Now this is my first time using it, so I want to make sure that it's spread evenly on my brush. This is a light enough color, so this probably won't be an issue, but I never like to take chances with blush. It's very light, so I'm going to go directly from the powder. I don't know if this is going to show up at all because it is so light, but I do love it. I'm a light blush girl. I know some people like stronger blush, and we all have our own preference, but I go for a lighter blush look. Now I'm taking my damp makeup sponge and I'm applying the cream over it. And that does give a lovely glow. Can you see the difference? And as always, I'm going to go back around the edges with my brush, just so there are no demarcation lines at all. At some point, I think I want to experiment and try blending this blush color with the more vibrant She's Giving, which is really a bright pink. That would be an interesting combination because I'd end up somewhere in middle ground, which is what I think I'd like. I definitely like applying the cream over it. The powder is okay, but with my dry skin, it sort of emphasizes my dry skin. So I'm grateful to have this feeling of moisture with this sponge. Oh, that does feel good. This blush is definitely a winner, and I think next time around I'll try combining those 2 colors. Well, I love recommending blushes like this that I think are really exceptional, and if you'd like to help YouTube recommend this video to others, I would so appreciate it if you'd hit that thumbs up symbol. And I also hope you'll join our family here on this channel by subscribing if you haven't already done so. Now, I didn't purchase this next product during the Sephora sale, but I just have to try it. It was a gift from my youngest daughter, and it's Gucci's new Glow Highlighter Powder. It's made in Italy, which almost always means excellent quality, and it's described as a multi-use silky illuminating powder that glides effortlessly onto the skin. It also supposedly leaves the skin feeling hydrated. It can be used on face, eyes, body, and lips, and it's the shade that I could not resist. It's Frosted Lilac. I'm really hoping this doesn't dry out my very dry skin, but it does feel extremely creamy to the touch. Let me go ahead and swatch it for you. And here is the Frosted Lilac color. This is so light that I hope you can see it, but I think you can probably at least see the glow. I'm only going to apply it on one of my cheeks in case it's more drying than hydrating. Okay, let's take a look at each cheek and see if you can tell the difference. This is the cheek where I applied the Gucci powder, and this is just the cheek with the Patrick Ta blush, both powder and cream. Well, I can definitely see there's not as much of a hydrated look on this side with the powder, but it doesn't look like it's actually drying my skin. Just for the fun of it, I want to share with you some of these other Gucci shades. This is Sunrise Gold, which, as you can see, is a very, very light gold. This is Warm Gold. Here is Opal Pink, and this is Warm Bronze. That is one pricey glowing powder. Now we come to lips. I already absolutely adore the lipsticks and blushes from the clean beauty brand Lawless, but I was especially excited when I saw 2 new shades that I immediately fell in love with. The new lip balm color is called Candy Girl, which is a pearly candy mauve pink, and I love it. This is Candy Girl on top, and I have a shade called Cupid underneath it, which has more of an undertone of lilac. I also purchased 2 of their glosses, Daisy Girl, which is a soft baby pink, and Daisette, which is a cool candy pink with a pearl finish. My favorite is Daisette, which has this pearly quality. It's really gorgeous. First, I'm going to apply my L'Oreal Age Perfect Lip Liner in Splendid Plum. Then I'll apply my new Lawless Lip Balm in the shade Candy Girl and the Lawless Daisette gloss over it. Now this is pretty light, so I think I'm going to apply a slightly deeper shade of lipstick over this before I apply the gloss. This is a lipstick from Huda Beauty, which unfortunately has been discontinued. It's called After Party. But fortunately, I did buy 1 backup, so I do still have that. We now have the finished look. Of course, today I could only give a first impression of these products, and it has happened on more than one occasion that my first impression of a product was dead wrong. So I will definitely need to work with all of these products for a lot longer period of time before I can truly make an informed decision about which ones I really love. I hope in the comments section below you'll share any purchases you made and love during the last Sephora sale. And before we conclude today, I also want to let you know that I've attached a link in the description box and in a pinned comment to a video on a topic that I often get questions about, and that's about finding the right foundation. So if you're also on the hunt for your best foundation option, I hope you'll find this video helpful. Until next time, I wish you good health and happiness, and I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Take care.